Welcome to Hey Dad Podcast. Real dads, tough issues, and a genuine love for a fatherless generation.
Hello and welcome back. Thank you for joining us today. This is Hey Dad Podcast. I'm Rick Rivera. I'm here with Frank Lomelli and Chris Lawler. Yep. Thank you, gentlemen. And we have a special guest, James Lawler, Chris's son.
Yep, he's my sidekick. He's autistic. He's with me everywhere I go. I can't get away from him. He's in my shadow and my space constantly. Help me, God.
That was all in one breath. This is a story. This is
going to be the story. That's right.
James grew up in our church, so we love having him. We understand, there's boundaries issues with James sometimes, and that's fine. Yep. It's all allowed. Yeah. So thank you for joining us today. The subject today is confidence. I guess as a father, how to instill confidence in your son, but maybe even a bigger question is, how did we develop confidence in ourselves? And that's a trait men need.
Yeah.
And that's a trait that has to be developed if it wasn't given to you. This program is sponsored by Rise Church. We deeply appreciate their love and support. And we also have to say that not all of our views, especially like from our last podcast, may reflect the church's views on it, but they've been kind enough to still support us in this.
Yeah, they still love us, just not as much as before.
And God is a God of second chances.
Amen. Amen. And they have to forgive us.
I'm gonna write on that.
Yeah, we're writing on that. That was the Cain Velasquez video, in case you guys want to go back and check that one out. So confidence, big issue.
Yeah.
Big issue. It's something that I think our younger generation of men are losing.
That's right.
And then again, it could go another direction. It can go into arrogance, and it could go into that guy, you know what I mean, who's just so full of himself.
Yeah.
Where's the balance? How does it start? So let's start with our own stories.
Let's define what it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah. Confidence is not cockiness. It's not an unreasonable overestimation of your own ability or worth.
Right.
Confidence is being in the presence of the evidence that I can do what it is that's set before me to do.
Very well said. Yeah,
okay.
I agree.
So if you're, all right, a lot of gaming going on, right? Everybody's doing Fortnite, doing whatever. I'm gonna totally spoil myself because I can't name all the most recent games.
You got one. You got a big one.
Okay.
I can't even think of one.
Call of Duty, any of that. So I've occasionally have dipped into that world, and you spawn and you're dead in a second because there's so many people that have spent so many hours perfecting all the skills and weapon changing and how to jump in the air and avoid whatever that they just feast upon newbies like me. And so I go into a game like that with zero confidence because I know that I have no chance of really having success. But on the other side of the picture, there's kids in that game that have absolute confidence in what they're able to do, to the point where it almost gets boring.
Well, they'll trash talk while they dismantle you.
Right. They find ways to kind of add to the carnage mentally along with the
emotional
visuals.
Carnage as well.
Yeah.
Confidence is a really big thing. I mean, when you guys are talking about, I didn't know we were going to be talking about this today, but I put up a facade in my life for probably, I would say, I'm 55 years old. Probably up to the age of 35. I had no confidence whatsoever, but I wanted to be accepted. My father was an alcoholic, and there was never any pep talks. There was never any guidance. You roll with the punches. This is the way it is. Make the best of it. The bigger shark eats the smaller fish, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't get into that. It was like, what? Okay, so am I the big fish or the little fish? I don't know what I was. And so I would have to think, but I don't even remember where it was that I finally thought, okay, I need to recreate Frank. what does Frank want to be? And this is the ironic thing. Frank wants to be funny, the life of the party, the guy that can accomplish anything, and the guy that's going to prove himself to everyone. The crazy thing is that was me, but I was thinking that's the facade I'm going to use. So it's like believing a lie. But yet the truth is that the guy that made that facade for you to have more confidence and to be able to be liked and fit into the world, you have to create this person like that game. You have to create one of those characters that is the most...
an avatar.
Exactly. And so now I'm thinking, in this generation, the Lord has pulled that away from me. I have the confidence that I believe I need, but I still have challenges. But you were speaking earlier about this generation now, where I'm thinking like, I have a hard time relating about confidence because I grew up in the way that I grew up. And yet now I have a son and you know, the kids that I meet is, they have no confidence. They don't know why they're afraid or insecure. And I'm trying to kind of implement a little bit of what I've learned. But again, I'm 55. Up until 35, God began to remove those things from me. So I don't have a whole lot of time where now I become this confident guy where, I got this. I know what this is about. I'm still learning to be confident in other areas.
Right.
In my home, in my marriage with my kids.
It's a difficult thing for a man to communicate to his son, because if you're confident, I mean, we have a half a century ahead of them. Well, somewhat less. Of experience, of trying, and of skill sets, of various different types. All those things underpin our confidence. And it's really easy for a father to become very frustrated with a son that doesn't exude any confidence. Yeah. It's irritating, to be honest with you, when you have somebody that won't just step out and do it. Just do it. And they hear you saying those words, but those words don't create a foundation to stand on to do what you're asking them to do. And so there's a disconnect there. But there is a way that you build confidence. This is why your parents in certain generations would force you to practice piano for several hours a day when you hated it. I don't like piano. Yeah. I hated it. The reason they would do that is they're trying to give you one thing that you will be good at. Yeah. If you can get this one thing that you can be good at, it becomes a hook that you can hang your confidence on. Yeah. So you show up in a party, I may not know how art, I may not be the funniest person in the world, but you put me in front of a keyboard and I can light that thing up.
Yeah.
That makes all the difference in the world.
Right. It's funny. It's something like and I hate to keep taking shots at the younger generation of men right now. But one pattern I do see is for whatever reason, we're reading confidence in other people. You're gauging people. Yeah. And you don't want to, but I think it's just human nature. So when I meet a boy who's trying to date my daughter, or you know how it works, they start hanging out in their friend group, but you know their intentions. And you're like, okay, I know what's going on here. But when you shake their hand comes so passive. Yeah. And then they won't make eye contact. Yeah. Those are things I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm not unforgiving in it. In my mind, you could mature into it, hey, you're not there yet. But I know you can see it in their actions. Okay, now here, steer me, guys. Here, throw a rock at me if I'm going too far off on this one. I think women look for that too. Because when a woman looks at a man, there's the physical, that of course. But one thing I know that's on their mind is, can he provide for me and my child? They're thinking five steps down the road, and we're just thinking about, hey, where are we going tonight? But they're looking for a man who, can he be a father? Can he protect us? Can he provide for us? Yeah. And they're trying to read that. So a lot of guys try to do it by the hypersensitive, soft approach to try to win a woman over. But in my opinion, I think what women are looking for is someone who, I can have a child with you and you'll take care of me. And that's where I think having confidence in yourself and expressing that confidence is a good thing to have. It's also in work. I've done a lot of job interviews throughout my career. I can see this in people. Yeah. But I can also see arrogance and cockiness, which is kind of just as bad in my opinion. Right. It kind of works against it.
Can I throw a rock at you right here?
Yeah, please.
Okay. One thing we're kind of up against is cultural differences of generations.
Yes.
We're living in a time where the way men were 20 years ago is very different than the way they are now. And this is the only time in human history where this has been true. If you go roll back 150 years, put yourself in the Old West on a ranch somewhere. Guys that lived 100 years before that, there were, the Davy Crockett's that were exploring the boundaries of Kentucky before they ever moved out west.
Founders of America.
They all kind of understood each other. Yeah. And the Davy Crockett's were understood by the Paul Reveres, and the Paul Reveres were understood by the English guys working in the mines. The way a man was pretty consistent for centuries. And now here we are where the menu of what a man is flipping every 20 years.
Yeah.
If not sooner. So we may be talking to guys saying, what are you talking about, firm handshake? That's your thing.
Yeah.
All my friends, when we shake hands, we don't put a big bunch of stock. In fact, we don't even shake hands. All we do is a slap five or fist bump or just look at each other and give us the finger gun, or whatever.
Or just text each other, really. I don't even know
so
if
it's like you're barking up a tree that's already dead, Dad,
And I forgot who said this. I don't remember who said this, but they said that what's wrong or what's happening in these generations now is that men from 80s back are not cut from the same cloth anymore. And what that means is, it doesn't mean that you have to be this man's man or you have to be like this tough guy who could just beat up people. No, it's just those little things that I don't know if it's right to say that make a man, but like the handshaking and how to treat a lady, but not with that, okay, whatever you say. I think a woman does want some sort of, to see some part of you growing, understanding that if you're a teenager, well, you're not a grown man, but there's those men characteristics, especially if you had a good dad that showed those things at home, where he wasn't egotistical, prideful, but he was the man of the house. Mm-hmm. So I think a young girl that's had a father, and I know there's a lot of fathers that get it wrong, but for those out there that could look at their dads and say, well, I remember that I felt safe and my mom felt safe with my dad.
Right.
Yeah. And I remember that my dad was the man of the house. Not only did he provide for us, but he fixed everything that broke, and he showed us how to do oil changes and change tires and those little things. That's gone.
Yeah.
And I think they're taught without teaching. You watch a young man needs a man who does life well in their life.
Well, how have we been replaced? YouTube.
Oh, that's this. No, they replaced by their own friends. So a 15-year-old kid without this influence is now learning from other 15. And now he's going to learn two directions: stay home, play video games, avoid confrontation, or get into gangs and there's a lot of different wrong roads to go down with this.
Right.
Yeah. So
always remember that we're intentionally trying to speak to men that either don't have fathers, grew up without a father, or have been so estranged from their father, they don't have this kind of guidance.
Right.
My heart always goes out to you guys, and we generally love you and we pray for you before and after we do any one of these shows.
Yes.
So this thing, the confidence, we're trying to define confidence. Let's make one thing clear. Cockiness is not confidence.
No.
Cockiness is what you develop if you can't develop confidence.
True.
So that's how you put on the act. You put on the act because you're really afraid somebody's going to find out who you really are.
Yeah. Mm.
So you become over the top. And that's not the same thing.
Right.
The what a good dad would do, in my opinion, in developing their son or their daughter, is give them a skill. This goes back to the piano, but it doesn't have to be a piano.
Yeah.
Something, teach them how to cook, teach you how to change a tire. So even though you're not confident in many things in your life, you'll have one thing that you are confident with. And this is how you become familiar with that feeling.
You can build on that.
Yeah, because the feeling that this is my wheelhouse, I know this. So let's talk to the gamers, okay? Because you can use this.
Yeah.
If you put in a solid, 5 months playing Call of Duty, you're pretty blasted good at it.
Yeah.
Feel what that's like. This is confident. When I jump into that world, I know the whole weapons array. I know all the moves. I know my keyboard. I know how people are going to react. That feeling didn't come overnight. Yeah. And that wasn't something you manufactured. You built that brick by brick through failure, not through success.
You put in the work.
Because if you jumped into Call of Duty and everybody fell to you every time you looked at them, there's nothing to feel confident about.
Yeah. You're going to be a bullet bag a bunch of times before you start getting it right. Yeah.
This is the irony. Confidence is built off of failure. It means you got to try things and you got to fail, and then you adjust and become good.
Yeah.
Now, it isn't so much that confidence is built off of your awesome skill set with Call of Duty. Confidence is built in your ability to learn and adapt and accomplish something within that field. Right. Because that's the part that changes from Call of Duty to working on your car, changes from working on your car to getting through school. Is that ability to learn and adapt. Right. That's what confidence is. And when you have that, when you begin to feel confident that even if I'm presented with a strange and unusual circumstances, I'm confident because of my past experience that I'll be able to learn and adapt and master this.
Yeah.
Or at least come through with success. That's the thing that radiates to people. And believe me, the trees start to fall before you.
And as you were speaking, brother, I was just processing some things, and also for those young men out there and for the men that are about to, or they're of age to marry or going to become husbands. You need to understand that just because we're sitting here and we're men from the 80s or whatever, sometimes we need to build the confidence to be able to get you to have confidence, because we're trying to understand, fit into your world.
Yeah.
And believe me, your dads, some of the dads, a lot of dads, I believe, that feel lost in your world and saying, how do I get the confidence to reach my kid and to help him understand that I'm scared too sometimes. And I don't have all the confidence that I need, but because I love you and you mean so much to me, I have to figure this out. I have to keep failing to get it right. And hopefully I'll get the confidence before you leave the home so that then we can relate and build a life. Because it's not just, we got all the confidence in the world. We're trying to tell you how to get confidence. No, we need that too sometimes.
But it's funny, you're saying that. If we're able to tell somebody, I'm a little lost here, I don't get it yet, I need your help to get me there, that's actually a very confident statement.
Yeah.
You're saying you're not questioning yourself.
Yeah.
I'm still figuring this part out.
Yeah.
Help me out here. And you may have showed me once, show me twice. But it's funny. One of the things, Chris, you're talking about is like preparing in different ways. With my boys, the one thing I always taught them is a basic 4-punch combination. And I love boxing. That's my thing. And I always had a bag of some sort in the backyard. And I taught my boys a 4-punch, because if you ever see street fights, they're swinging so wild and crazy. Yeah. All you have to really know to win 80% is how to throw a solid 4-punch combination. You're going to line your body up right. You're going to be at the right angle, and you're going to unleash. And then just keep repeating those 4-point combination if you have to. But the reason I taught them is not to get in a fight, so they could walk away from a fight. See, if you walk away in total fear, like, I don't know what to do, that's a difficult situation. But if you walk away, dude, it's not even worth fighting for. And you walk away, but you know you're okay. You walk away with a different mind frame. Yeah. It's easier to avoid trouble if you know how to handle it when it comes. So my boys, I had to drag them out there. Come on. And they would be excited the first one, the second, third, fourth time we're out there training, they didn't like it. I even wonder if they remember, man, I wish they, okay, here, let me break script here. Mark's my son. He's the producer of the show. Do you remember the 4-punch combination?
No.
Oh, man.
But I remember you teaching me.
Okay.
It was a jab, a hook, and then what, another hook, or was it a?
It was usually started with a jab, right, straight right, hook.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I don't remember it.
And then the advanced courses, you learn the uppercut. But I wanted my boys loaded.
You can't do that now.
Huh?
Well, you can't do that in your backyard no more.
On your father those 4 punches. Right,
you can't do that in California in your backyard anymore.
No, but I wanted my boys with this, not to fight. I always told them walk away. I've showed them in my life, walk away from a fight. It's not about fighting, but that confidence. Now you're walking in with a certain amount of confidence. And then even if you're watching two other guys fighting, you're not so freaked out because you're looking at them saying, "Oh, they really don't even know how to throw a punch." You know, you're not so shocked by the actions. But that's one way. And you know, it's funny. You're saying today's society that they're different. They don't value the handshaking and the eye contact. I would say let's shrug that off and let's recapture that.
Yeah.
Because our wives need us, our sons need us, society needs us.
Yeah.
Right.
Society needs. I always admired those men where if a guy's on the street, hits his girlfriend, here comes the dude, steps up and just clocks him. I've always admired those men.
I've done that.
See, I admire that. Because that's men keeping men in check in society. And we need that, you know, and that's a hard thing to step into because you don't know what you're stepping into.
No, growing up, we were in the 80s, the house parties were big and we were DJs. So I was around fights all the time. And I was one of the ones that they thought I was nuts because I was so angry at my dad that I always would find a poor soul that would start something with me and I would feed off of it. But there was a lot of times that I got my butt kicked.
Yeah.
Okay. I was a big dude and they used to tell me the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Right. That was true, by the way. And, but I walked, not again, I'm not saying condoning fighting, but I walked away with confidence, even though I got beat up, because that guy never came back to mess with me again. He knew that there was going to be a fight.
Yeah.
And I did have situations where several times, at least 4 times that I can remember, a guy was smacking a girl around. I didn't ask any questions. And then the girl was angry at me, but I got satisfaction in the sense and the confidence that I stopped something from getting worse.
Right.
But in any case, I don't mean to say you guys go out there and jump into that and all that kind of stuff. It's just, you know, coming from a place where I had to get confidence on my own and kind of figure that out, it was a confusing way of doing it. But that's why I was saying that now I have a 19-year-old son and we talk about a lot of things and that's nowhere near their radar. They're not going to jump into anything.
Out there anymore
it's not even out there anymore. Yeah.
Well, here's something that you kind of tapped on that I think is really an important thing to underscore. Like when you talk about this fighting situation, when a fight came to you, you didn't back down, you entered in. Even if you lost the fight.
I was scared.
And you were scared. Okay. What you did is you showed that guy that this is not a person I can overwhelm. This is a guy that could cost me something, cost me a chipped tooth or something. He'll get a blow in maybe. So he's not worth messing with. So they pass on you. You don't always have to win a fight that you enter into.
Right.
You just have to say, it's going to be expensive to fight me. Now, here's the thing that I take away from your story, Frank, is that it wasn't your skills that made your confidence. It was your person.
Yeah.
It's my willingness.
Yeah.
You come to Frank Lamelli, whether he knows what it is he's doing or not, he's going to be a force to reckon with, regardless of what his skill set is. That is the confidence. That's the actual nuclear reactor point where confidence comes from, is being confident in who you are in a situation.
Yeah.
I remember I used to love to play basketball. And I went out and, I never really played in high school or organized, but I'd be out on the junkyard playing with all the stray dogs that would come out and play basketball.
They call it junk ball.
Yeah, res ball, all that, and I love doing that. And I realized that as I was getting older and my knees were giving out, there came a day where regardless of the games I used to be able to play in the past, I realized everybody can beat me. I'm not better than anyone on this court now.
Right.
And I realized that I'm entering into a zone where my basketball ability is going to be so irrelevant that it's going to be non-existent. And eventually I have to trade in a different currency. So that was depressing to me because it was amazing how much confidence in my life I took from my ability to get this hook shot or, play defense or whatever. Once that all left, I realized confidence didn't leave me. It found a new vehicle.
Yeah.
It went to something else. Right. And I became more involved in the worship in our band.
Yes.
Bass played played bass in the worship band for 2-3 decades. And my confidence found a new vehicle to boost my, I keep recycling back to that word confidence, but it finds new things. But the point is, it's not in the skill you learn. It becomes part of who you are.
But two questions to that, Chris, kind of touching on it, because we're talking about confidence and we're assuming people are listening who understand, I do need to develop my confidence. Yeah. How did you get enough confidence in basketball to finally approach those guys on the playground and say, hey, I'm in?
Yeah, you got to do it afraid.
Yeah.
You have to cross the boundary. And here's a little trick I'll tell you. I was used to do a lot of theater back in my early days when I had availability. And I would, you learn your lines, opening night is coming, and they're about to raise the curtain, and you're on. And suddenly a wall of fear, a tsunami of fear will overwhelm you. Like, what am I doing? Yeah. I don't know all these lines. I don't know all this. And you know what? First couple times that happened, it was debilitating. Thankfully, I had such a small, minor part that wasn't much of a factor in the production anyway. But I learned that right before that happened, if I became furious and angry with the audience and cussed them out under my breath before the curtain went up, became angry, it would overwhelm this fear.
Right.
And I would step in and say, I don't care if you like this or not, I'm bringing it to you. And I entered into it even though it was dripping with fear.
Right.
And you find that when you do that, somehow favor and fortune finds you.
Right.
And it falls your way.
Right.
Well, now you can see that I said I had to put up a facade for my life in fear all the time that they were going to think I'm this wimp who is afraid, who can amount to anything. By the grace of God, I didn't know God then, but by the grace of God, I believe I was able to tell myself, I'm going to do the very thing you're doing. So I'm angry at everybody, but yet I'm not an abusive, angry person. I'm using that anger to show everybody that I'm better than that. Mm-hmm. Better than what? Because nobody ever knew what I was trying to do.
Right. All this math is happening inside your head.
Inside my head.
And nobody isn't aware of it.
Nobody, they just think they're accepting me for being, and I was the funny guy, and I was the guy who was daring, and I was the guy that could do whatever, but inside I'm so afraid. Right. But I use that same analogy that before the curtains open, before I went out there to the crowd, is like, I'm just pissed at everybody saying, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to show you, and they don't know this is going on.
Could we call it get a little fire in your belly?
Yeah. Well, one day we got to do a show about anger, because anger is really an amazing device that God gave us. But we'll pass on that for the moment. But, one of the things that comes to my mind, and it came to my mind and it flew right out. So
I got something though.
Go ahead.
One of the things that helps me is being extremely prepared. I used to have to give presentations on a certain medical technology. And man, every insecurity of my childhood comes up. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
They must not understand the idiot I am that they're sitting here listening to me. But what I would do is I would over prepare. And the initial start of the speech would be hard because that's that nervous wave that you get hit with. But once you roll into it, you're so queued up on all the information. So I would say in many cases, over prepare. Prepare. Just like the idea of being prepared for in case you have to get in a fight. If you're loaded with some those punches, you're more confident. You're okay. So that's how I dealt with it in that arena.
Let me, it's amazing because my wife is like you. Mm-hmm. Okay, she overly prepares just in case. I'll drive myself nuts. I don't prepare whatsoever because I'm one of those guys that if I script something, I'm not even gonna say what I wrote because it's from the heart.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that I'm gonna be transparent. There's no need to prepare for real life. My actually life experiences are gonna speak out. And even if it's I've been in where I've spoken in front of a bunch of people and they just pick me and say, hey, do you want to say something? Sure. And it doesn't matter what the topic is. But like you, from my past experiences, my heart is already prepared to deal with whatever the issue is. Mm-hmm. Because now, after what I've lived, I'm not afraid. Yeah. I have the confidence.
Yeah.
Right? How can I screw up something that I'm speaking to with truth?
Yeah.
I think about, you go back and, remember your high school experience. Everybody thinks about where they were at in high school, and they think of all the things they should have done and the opportunities they missed. The number one common ingredient in all those things that you wish you would have done was confidence. If only I had the confidence to talk to that girl. If only I had the confidence to get involved in all those different class activities, or to play sports, or go to the dance, or to all the other things. The reason I didn't do all those things is I had no confidence that I would be able to do it. And when you get to be an adult like me, 50 years removed almost from my high school experience, now I look back on that because I have this confidence that I won over a hard row, many battles won and lost in life. Now I can go back in high school if I ever could. I would slay every one of those opportunities.
I'd be the coolest kid in school. Oh my gosh. Which I was far from at the time.
And that's why they make these movies, and it's so fascinating.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because those guys go back with all the confidence they didn't have when they were in the moment.
And see, in those moments in high school, because of what I went through and trained myself to do, I didn't care. I said, what's the worst thing? I've already been rejected so much. I'm past the pain of rejection. I went up to the, what is the not the prom queen, but the princess or the queen or whatever. I don't know. There's a prom queen, and then there's the one that's under her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh man, she's this and she's beautiful, whatever. I said, do you guys dare me to go ask her to go out with me? And they're like, I just went right up there. What did I do? I said funny stuff.
Yeah.
And I ended up, she was my girlfriend.
Oh.
I joined the football team, and I was afraid of playing football.
Right.
But because people were telling me that I was going to suck, I joined the football team, and I sucked.
Yeah.
But one day I'm kicking the ball. Frank's over there screwing off, kicking the ball. The coach and everybody's watching me, and I'm like, and then I turn around and they're like, can you kick that again? And I'm like, yeah. And I kicked it. I became the punter.
Nice.
So those are the kind of things that would happen for me, because I was so fearful in my younger life, in my younger age, that by the time I got to high school, it was like, dude, what's the worst that could happen?
Sure.
See, I always...
And I got turned down a lot too.
Frank, I've always envied guys like you in high school. They just seem so comfortable in their own skin.
But we're not.
Well, dude, you sure came off that way.
We're not.
And like, they would flirt with the girls. They would ask the girls out. And I would always wonder, how do you get so comfortable like that? How do you not get over the feeling? I mean, I understand now as a 54-year-old man, but as a kid, oh my God, I was paralyzed with everyone staring at me syndrome, I
had to prove to everybody that I could.
This is the way you explore unknown lands, is you prepare what you can prepare, but you also realize, I know I'm going to be encountering things I have no idea of what's coming, so it's impossible to prepare for it all. But you do what you can do, and then you take on the adventure. And you realize it's like, okay, I'm going to throw myself into this unknown place, and I'm going to make it up as I go. And the confidence is that you make this kind of decision about yourself. Confidence isn't in what you're packing along with you. Confidence isn't in the really great abilities you're waiting on when they come and arrive and I get the package of the right smart thing to say to the prom queen, then I'll go ask her out.
No.
Confidence means I'm going to do it even though I'm afraid, and I'll figure it out in the middle.
That's exactly right.
It's a dare to fail attitude.
Yeah.
I dare to get rejected. Yeah. So what? I get rejected.
Yeah. That's the goal. That's the goal of those failures, because all your confidence is built out of failures, not out of successes.
You're right.
Successes add nothing to your confidence. That's what's weird. It's the failures you overcome.
Yeah.
Because successes will mean, I'm a good guitar player because now I can play that lick. Confidence means, give me any other instrument and I'll probably figure it out, and I'll be able to contribute something to this band. Right?
Right.
It's true. It's very true. It sounds weird, but I totally understand it, because that was my situation. It wasn't about getting it right and just becoming really good at that. It was a challenge of, you may not be able to, but I have to prove it, at least to myself.
Right.
And that's what got me through a lot of this stuff. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I wasn't like this guy that every girl I went up to or everything I got into, I succeeded. No, but the satisfaction was I tried.
Yeah.
And I understand that I no longer have to be good at everything. Let's go on to the next thing.
There's a story. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please, Chris, you go ahead.
There's a story that I encountered one time that really spoke to me, and I used it in one of my writing projects. And it regarded this guy that was an artist, a small-time artist, and he moved to Paris because he wanted to sound romantic and he wanted to do art and sell art on the street. So he was there, and while he was there, some very high-end aristocratic people came along and saw his work and liked it, and he got into conversation. They invited him to a costume ball. They said, yeah, come to this costume ball. We're all going to meet at this place. Gave him the address. And the guy, and then they left. They went on their way. And he sat there amongst all of his artwork, and with the idea that he had an invitation to go somewhere where he'd never been before, and debated. And in that debate, he thought, who are these people to think that I could run away from them? That little spark of anger that put him on a trajectory. So he decided he's going to go to the costume ball. So he worked on his costume, because got to come in a costume, right? And he created a lobster costume. Okay, red, spines coming off the head, big foam claws, this whole thing. And so the night came for the costume ball, and he got in a taxi, and it was pretty far away off in a country estate someplace, because he knew they were rich people, but they wanted him to come. They invited him. It's their fault if he shows up. So he comes, and he shows up, and he goes to the front door, and the door opens up, and there's a big stairway that goes down into the ballroom. Everybody's dressed in Victorian outfits.
I knew it.
All Victorian, high fluffy hair and dresses, totally formal. And here he is, a big lobster. Okay. So they introduced him, and the band is playing and people are talking and stuff. As slowly silence comes over the entire building as they see this lobster walk down into the middle of the court, and everybody's just looking at him. And finally, one of the people that walked up to him says, "What are you doing? What are you supposed to be?" And in that moment, again, another point of decision. Do I run away and just, cut my losses and get out of here? Or who the hell are they to challenge what I've done? And that little spark of anger says, I'm the court lobster.
Yeah.
And they all looked at him, silence, and then suddenly an avalanche of laughter. Yeah. And this kid became the hit of the whole ball. Everybody wanted him. He ended up dancing with some princesses of, some other country. They're all there in attendance. And at the end, that's all that anybody talked about was this kid that wore a lobster costume in the middle of this ball. But it's the fact that he had just a little nugget of confidence to dare to go where he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And it made all the difference.
It made a difference.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is I think we all have something inside that we use to gauge, how far we take something or where we don't go or where we go. But I've heard time and time again, fear is good. If you don't have any fear, that's bad.
Oh, you would be a straight up nut if you had no fear, right?
And so fear kind of gives you the boundary of what you're able to do, where to go, where not to go. Even though you step into something like that story where he went into something that he didn't know, he thought he was doing this costume thing, but somewhat afraid of the unknown, but yet he was able to own it when he was there because I'm already here. And that's the split second decision that you make about yourself is, do I run or do I stay?
Right.
And I know that some of us run,
right.
And I think more than a few run and a few stay. But now, where was that confidence or where was that father where you needed that confidence or even that little bit of anger and to tell you that's a good kind of anger. You know, that's what, if you go back when we're talking about all of this, is what was missing? Why was one not able to do that? For me, I was angry at my dad. And I did things because I was angry at my dad. Did I understand it? No, I didn't. I was just pissed off kid. But I knew not to cross a boundary of being a schmuck, to be bullying people and hurting people. It was more punishing myself and trying to prove myself. But there's nowadays, kids won't even go there. Yeah. They're not even going to attempt to go to them or even build make that lobster costume because it's like,
you know, okay, some practical advice on this too. Asking a woman out, hard to do. But if you're loaded with a response, so you ask a woman out and she says, no, right? Like every man's worst fear. If you're loaded with the response of, you can't blame a guy for asking a pretty girl out. You have something to get you out of that without dying so hard inside. Or, I have a boyfriend. He's the luckiest guy I know. You know, if you're loaded with that, just walk away with those 2 nuggets. Load yourself with them. It'll help ease the blow because you're going to get rejected.
James, you know, he goes to work with me every day, right? So he's sitting in the passenger side of my van and we're driving along the street. And look at my boy. I mean, he's a handsome devil, isn't he?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is. So we're driving along and his window's down and we pull up to a stop sign and there's a beautiful girl right there waiting to walk the crosswalk. And James is out there looking at her, you know.
Leering at her.
He has no fear at all, people. He has no social boundaries. He's just looking at her. And so she kind of looks at him and, you know, it's kind of cute. And she doesn't know the situation. So she kind of smiles at him. And James he pipes up and he says, want to get awkward?
Where did he learn that from?
I looked at him and says, that is the single greatest pickup line in the history of pickup lines.
That's funny.
And
I don't know about that
she
one,
looked
Chris.
at him, her head cocked a minute, and then James just started wagging his hands and laughing, and she caught on, you know, and she had a good laugh about it, but, you know, James.
Want to get awkward?
That is
awkward?
You use the situation. You know?
It's I think if we can bring it to what we're speaking or who we're speaking to, we do need help growing up. I don't think we have the ability to build all of that confidence on our own. I really don't think so. I think blessed are you who has a father who takes the time to help you build that, or do you guys can build it together?
And you don't build it by doing everything properly for your son.
No, and that's what I was going to say.
What you do is you shepherd them into their errors, and you let them, and you be their backstop.
Tell them about your failures.
Exactly.
Then it's okay to fail. It's okay to get shot down. It's okay to screw up.
One of the things that I tell my son is, I said, you know, right now that you're at home, fail as much as you possibly can. It doesn't mean go out there and fail on purpose. Right. It means that while you're here at home, you're accepted.
Yeah. So
because we understand that, and I also say, you know, whatever you decide to get into, don't go into it trying to be number one. Don't go into it for the fame or the reaction of other people. Just have fun. Yeah. Just enjoy it. And if that's not for you, go on to the next thing. But I will say what's important is finish what you started and then move on to the next thing.
Right.
And so I now understand that as sensitive as our kids are now, because of the generation that they are in now, what's required of us, I believe, overall, is more patience and being able to not make them, for me, Franks, but empowering them with whatever positive arsenal I picked up along the way, but understanding that my son is, and I don't want to say his name, but my son is my son and he's not Frank. So I think what the kids don't have now, even older guys, younger men in their 20s, there wasn't enough patience. It's like, you got to be a man just like I was, and this is the way I learned. That's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the transition that we're going to make is together with the transition they're going to make. So as long as we understand that is, what does God say for us to have? Mostly to gain wisdom is patience. Yeah. So how do we become wise with our sons and daughters? We have to have patience. We have to be wise. And most importantly, listen to them and then walk them through and let them know that, hey, you know what? You screwed up? Awesome. Because I remember being, I was married before and I had kids in football. And I wasn't a football family dad, because all the dads were like, yeah, my son and he's going to this camp and he's going to be this and he's a receiver and he's a quarterback. You know what I would tell my kids? I would say, dude, you don't need to be any of that. Just go out there and have fun.
Right.
Just go and do that. And my kids did well. One of them went to college for it. And so now what I teach my son now is you don't need to be number one. If you fail, that's okay. Mm-hmm. You're going to find your niche. Let's find out what it is.
But get in the game.
Get in the game.
Get in the game.
You don't have to be number one.
Yeah.
Just get it. It's okay when they have successes, it's great. Acknowledge the success. But when they make a bold move, even if it's into failure, celebrate the boldness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's what you want. You want to raise a son who is an adventurer.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to end up 40 years later regretting.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have. Yeah. Only if I would have. Man, take the chance. So let me break it down to this, and you guys add or subtract whatever you think. Building confidence. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Do it. It's okay to fail.
Yes.
I would say prepare. So if it's asking the girl of your dreams out, prepare in case she says no.
Yeah.
Prepare in case you have a line ready.
Right.
So you can get over that initial awkwardness. You
never want to fail out of not being prepared. Don't fail for a stupid reason.
Right.
Fail for a good reason.
Fail well.
Fail well. Yeah.
And it's okay to fail. I mean, I can't think of a single man who hasn't failed or fallen on his face.
Yeah.
If you become comfortable with that, or if you can tolerate that, you're going to do much better in life in 100 different ways.
Yeah.
But staying in that little safety zone and not crossing that, you're going to lose out on a lot. You're almost stifling your own potential. So you're not going to get over the fear. You're never going to have it to where you're not feeling the fear. You're going to have to do it with the fear to break into it. Well, and then you get comfortable with it.
Learning to be a winner is easy.
Yeah.
Learning to know how to lose and be content.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Right.
But it's not impossible.
Right.
If you learn, it doesn't mean be a loser all the time, but it means if and when you fail, because you will, embrace that makes you a winner.
Right.
That makes you a winner.
Mm-hmm.
And cheer for your team.
Yeah.
For those around you that become the first or second prize winners, cheer for them. You're a bigger winner.
Yeah.
If you can do that.
Let's hold those guys that have no dads that never told them anything like this in our minds right now and pray for them.
Yeah.
Father, I just lift up every young guy or young daughter that is struggling, feeling like they don't fit in anywhere and they're afraid to expose themselves to the risk of failure. I ask you to give them boldness, that you would put your hands around them and hold them firm and give them boldness to move into areas that are brand new with the assurance that what they need is inside those doors. They don't have to wait till they're fully equipped. They'll seize life and do things that put them at risk. Father, give them a vision that to do many things and to add to the canon of the stories of their life so they could talk about the things they did instead of the things they wish they would have done. And God, we ask you to show them that they're part of a tribe of adventurers. That's what we want to call them to. You can step out of the passive generation and be a superhero among your fellows by simply having the spirit of adventure, being willing to fail and willing to move and to do things that nobody else will do. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Father.
Chris, I don't want to end just yet.
Mm-hmm.
You have those to be a man proverbs.
Sure.
We just want to go over one of these every now and then. Now, can you explain the list again?
Yeah, this is sent to me. Rules to teach your son. There's a good 30 of them, and they're all really good. So let's
just pick one. And
yeah, let's pick one. If you need music on the beach, you're missing the point.
I had to.
How many times have you?
I want to show you something. I want to show you.
What's that?
This is a Duty and the Beast story. It's the one and I chorded this song. It's Duty and the Beast. I wrote this song, and you guys got to hear it.
All right,
all right. Beauty and the Beast. You're good at singing that, huh?
You guys want to hear it?
I do. If you're going to sing it, yes.
Okay. Watch this. This is funny. Watch.
Okay. All right. Hold on a second.
This is Duty and the Beast.
Let me look for it. Let me find it.
Wait. Watch this. Watch this. Sit on the mic.
Here we go. Okay. Turn it up a little bit.
Ready for this?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the most convenient entertainer at this table. All right, there's the camera. You going to sing?
Yeah, this is what I'm going to sing.
Uh-oh. You lost him. James, get back.
Come back, boy.
Tale as old as time,
Sing it.
Sign.
true as it can be.
Come on, guys. You got to sing Lala.
Barely
Be friends. Somebody friends. Especially you.
The most fearless man in my house.
Amen. That's confidence.
Listen to this.
I'm listening, James. Go for it.
to say the least.
These buffalo skin.
Not a one beauty and
The
the beast.
peace.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hey.
Good job, James.
Confidence right there.
That is
There you go,
confidence right
James.
there.
Love it.
You know, I gotta get that. I gotta get that sent to you guys.
Yeah, send it to us all.
Send it to us
Okay.
all. Thank you, James.
How many times have you gone to the beach and there's somebody with a gigantic boom box just blasting
Yeah, you're
because being
right.
at the beach isn't enough, you know?
Yep. Go take it. All right, guys. So we'll call it a day on this one. Guys, thank you very much for joining us today. God bless you guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.
All right.